Someone by the name of SunnyCat85's in here.
China don't like me at all. What's up, Sunny Cat? How you doing? China asking.
Yeah, I was restricting myself from saying things that are probably going to get you into the.
Look, I asked that you try not to swear that much, but if you want to rip on China and the WHO, go nuts. I don't care.
Oh, China and the WHO that was funny. Where it's just that China won't allow the WHO to investigate the coronavirus. You go, okay, then that's really weird because China won't allow China to investigate the coronavirus. Yeah, good on you. That being the who being funded and
$500 million. $500 million annually from us. Get out of town. No, they can go suck it.
That's what they're wanting from us? $500 million?
Look, $500 million is what we funded the WHO with almost every year. The president has halted funding to the WHO because the WHO helped China cover up the spread of the virus.
Yes. WHO is like 100% in China's pocket, and they're good buddies there, and they're also openly dyed-in-the-wool communists. So why is America, a capitalist republic, funding communist China?
There you go. I mean, let's look at it. The WHO said back in mid-January that this disease could not spread human to human. That's what they said. It's like it's like, oh, China and Wuhan did such a great job. This disease cannot spread human to human. Well, that was wrong. And people screen cap that tweet, and that tweet is being shared all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, another thing is when Taiwan, as early as December, said this disease spreads human to human, Taiwan got ghosted by the WHO. And Taiwan does not get recognized. Well, they just now started to get recognized by the WHO because the WHO and the UN adhere to the One China policy, which is Taiwan is not a country. That's it. Taiwan has no authority. It's a breakaway province from China. That's the narrative. That's what the official Chinese Communist Party says. And it's a free country. And it's where the nationalists retreated to, the island of Taiwan, during the communist takeover. And they call themselves the Republic of China, not the People's Republic of China. That's Taiwan. Taiwan is the Republic of China. The communist mainland China, that's People's Republic of China. And so that's the One China policy, where Taiwan is not to be recognized or talking to. They were so pissed off before the president was inaugurated. He was elected, but he wasn't inaugurated yet. He called up the newly elected president of Taiwan to congratulate her, and China was pissed because, God forbid, we recognize a free country. Yep.
I'm the president.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said.
Yep. It's a shit show. I mean, I feel bad for Australia because China's right next to them, and depending on which way this thing kicks off, first place they're going to hit is going to be Australia.
No. They're not going to hit Australia. You do realize that 99% of the land and infrastructure in Australia is owned by China. 90% of Australia is owned by China. They already own us. Why would they bother? They just got to call in all their debts, and Australia's fucked.
At this point, who cares? Let them call in the debt. Screw them. Let China call in all the debt, quote unquote, that these other countries owe to them. Let them try to do that, because at this point, I say we're all squaresies. Because They let this thing. They let this out of the cage. They knew it was a problem. They covered it up for 2 months, and he didn't alarm the people till after the lunar festival, after the New Year, after the Chinese New Year, because it's Chinese New Year. And so they have this big fear of being embarrassed because they can't do no wrong. That's their philosophy. And the words you got to look out for is stability and cooperation. When they start throwing around those words, you know for a fact they're doing everything they can to make themselves look good, and they cannot take a joke. Like flat out, this Winnie the Pooh meme, they get so livid over that. And just imagine, I mean, I don't know what's how they're taking all these other like coronavirus memes lately. I don't. I mean, they do not have a sense of humor at all, and they are pissed. And sometimes, when you are critical of the Chinese government, you have some Chinese people that are very defensive over it, and that's fine. Defend your government, but understand that your media is being controlled. It's like, well, so and so official, this. Like, okay, yeah, and all the news you get is state run. You don't go looking for it, and if you try to go looking for it, knock, knock, knock. Here comes the People's Liberation Army to detain you and throw you into a re-education camp. They are real, they exist, and they do organ harvesting as well. So they're horrible people.
Oh, there's what was it? There was some guy who is he knows his stuff. I can't remember who it was, but he was talking that I said Thomas Sheridan. Yeah, it was him. He was saying that apparently it is not uncommon, particularly when they had in the middle of the one child policy. If you had a female child, you can sell her for parts.
Yeah, well, you notice how quick they got rid of that one child policy.
Yeah.
Before all this happened. So strategically, when you start putting stuff together, I'm going to say the first place they're going to hit is Australia. That's, and I'm not the only one. There's other Australians that I know that also served in the army that have the same fear that because it's so close, that's going to be probably the first place they try to put boots on the ground because their army's not ready. Their army's not trained, and they're going to lose because, the Aussies can't take care of themselves and eventually we'll all get along with the rest of the world.
I think the first power grab, to be honest with you, is going to be North Korea.
I think the only thing that would get the Chinese to really bother with taking Australia and not just buying it would be if we employed what is employed in India at the moment, where in India they've got different states, and one of the states is called Himachal Pradesh. And in Himachal Pradesh, if you are not from Himachal Pradesh, you are not allowed to buy land in that state. And if you are a foreigner and you want to buy land in that state, you have to go into a contract with a local to do it. But the only thing is that they won't uphold in a court, they won't uphold contracts with people from outside the country. So if the landowner decides that, oh yeah, well, I bought the land with you and you spent all your money building this big building on my land, and I'm taking it and kicking you out now. It happens quite a lot in Himachal Pradesh. It's not like rampant, but it does happen quite a bit to people. And it's like it's not looked at as a racist, horrible thing. It's just we're protecting our sovereignty of our country. And if Australia did the same thing, that any land bought by a Chinese national or a Chinese company is like, yeah, they can't own it, and we're not going to uphold any contracts with them, then basically that's the only reason why I could see why they just wouldn't buy Australia, because they've already bought most of it. The Chinese government already owns most of the Central Australia.
They own it, but till the Australians say, okay, we don't care about your piece of paper, fuck off. You know, and then
that would
fight
start
back to their country, especially with everything going on.
I don't see the Australians are going to do that though, because that would mean the Australian government would have to do something that's good for the people.
Well, yeah, you're not the only one to say that. But you know, I'm saying this from over here. It just logically, if they take, okay, we own all this property here. Now we're going to go here. Now we're here. So then you got them in China, you got them in Australia, even like you're saying, though, North Korea. That gives them kind of a stronger foothold.
There's some really messed up laws when it comes to defending Australia. That there is a road that basically splits Western Australia off from the eastern states. So that I can't remember the name of the road, but it's called something. It's got a famous name for the road, and that road is the line that they will defend to. They will defend all of the eastern states up until that line, up until that road, essentially leaving most of the west coast to fend for itself.
Wow.
And that's it. Australians, the way they think, you got to understand the way Australians think is that we will never be invaded because this is Australia and we are Australians, and that doesn't happen here because this is the lucky country. This is Australia. That doesn't happen to Australians.
Gosh. Wow.
That's the way we think about all the sorts of things, and then they roll over it, whatever they want.
He was saying that. Yeah, we were in a conversation with another Australian last night. His name's Marty. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but yeah, and he said that to invade, to actually do an invasion course would be impossible, and it would have to be something from within to actually come about it.
Yeah.
Did you just say invasion?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're saying that China could possibly invade Australia?
Well, that's the thing. Like, because they own a percentage of it, but the Australians could say, "Fuck off! We don't care about your piece of paper," and then Australia would fight. But it's just simply put, if they start showing up there, because right now, everybody's borders are shut. But if all of a sudden they invade, which is what we think they could do, because with this being a bioweapon that they already released on the world. The next thing you know, you start putting people, in places like Australia. You've got a strong foothold there, but you will have people fighting you back. Especially if you start.
You're not going to get a lot of fighting back. You'll get the media coming out saying that they're here to help us and that our country has been so damaged and ravaged by this horrible virus, and that they're coming over here as peacekeepers to help us look after the place and everything. And that you need to just accept it, and that if you don't want peace, you don't want to be looked after, you don't want to be safe, you want bad things, and that people will just that they don't think for themselves. They'll just go, okay, now I know what to think about it, and just think that about it because that's what the news told them to fucking think.
Well,
So I'm swearing again. I get.
Yeah, I know. You're very passionate about it, and as anyone should be, and a patriot of their country should be. I mean, at this, and of course, more than the media as far as what goes on there. But do you think that there's going to be some breaking point to even the people that so-called pull the strings of the country, the elected officials and whatever? Do you think there's going to be a breaking point to say, look, enough is enough. You guys are messed up. You release this on the world. Everybody knows you released this on the world. You can't. I mean, try as you might. You're not welcome here, type of thing.
Sort of. You see, the average Australian person, to get them off their ass for anything at all, regardless of how important it is incredibly difficult. Western Australians are even harder to get them off their asses to do absolutely anything. Keeping that in mind, you also got a disarmed population, so they haven't got any weapons to fight back with. And they're so lackadaisical and believe whatever the media tells them. So those people aren't really going to be capable or willing to fight back. However,
I mean,
This- they spit things
don't they
something
get
like
don't they
prohibition,
get,
so.
get in conflicts every day? I mean, aren't there people that kind of get in argument? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
They do
Australia.
get into arguments every day, but it's more
Right.
like keyboard warriors and like social justice people screaming that they are being tortured and abused because somebody got their pronouns wrong.
No, like,
And the only other sort of fighting you're going to get is like, some dude punched some dude because he, like, it's over an argument. There, you don't get a lot of other, like, they get gang violence and stuff like that. But that's where I'm going next. When I don't know how much of this I should really say, but there are certain.
you can say whatever you want about.
There's just that people telling me things I shouldn't be repeating, but
Okay.
there are certain groups of people who have been, let's say, outlawed. Which I can go into a bit of the detail of how that worked, which is fucked up anti-association laws and blacklisting. Hidden blacklists of organisations, but they're on this list of the hidden list of blacklisted organisations, and they they have their own system of rules and laws and justice, and they are basically stockpiled weapons they're not supposed to have and other things they're not supposed to have, and they are basically sitting there going, okay, we're just going to wait until you've pushed too far, and we're ready sitting here waiting for you to push too far.
Okay, so kind of like some militia groups that are kind of spawned up here. I would have to say in almost every country there's going to be some.
I don't know how big and organized these militia groups are, but we're talking more like the New York Mafia. Imagine if they were like Australia wide. We're talking an organization on that sort of level.
Oh, okay. So you guys have like a organized crime syndicate, kind of like.
No, we're not saying exactly that, but let's just say blacklisted organizations. And to go more into the blacklisting, they created
so like on paper they don't exist type of organization.
No, they exist. They're just illegal things. They've got anti-association laws that say that there is a list of organizations, and anybody who is a member of one of those organizations, I believe they get, I think it was 6 years in jail for being a member of that organization.
Oh, wow.
If you know somebody who is a member of one of those things.
So would they be considered a terrorist organization?
Terrorist organizations can go into it, but it's anything that is decided to go onto this blacklist of organizations. So it can be organized crime, it can be terrorist, it can be social activism, anything like that.
So social activism would probably a loose term, so they can blanket that on just about anyone they want to.
Pretty much.
That's cool.
But there's more to it, that if you know somebody who's on this in a organization that's on this list, I think it's 2 years jail that you get. And if you know somebody who knows somebody who's on this list, I believe it's still illegal. I think you maybe at the worst will get a year's jail.
I mean, but what if you?
But you do get a record.
But what if you didn't know they were on the list? Would that still matter?
You're associating with them. You're not allowed to associate with people who are in here. This blacklist is also, what's it called? You know that word, when a word just drops straight out of your head? Classified? Yeah, classified. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to know what organizations are on the list.
Oh wow! So if you find out what organizations are on the list, you might be considered. You might be up on espionage crimes. Is what you're saying? You
could quite well be doing something like that. I don't know the law, how that works with that sort of thing, but basically it's somebody from one of these groups. They have people who give them information, who are involved with different organizations, and they also have a lot of high-paid lawyers on side, so they can find out enough information to know that their organization is on the list.
Wow. So just to clarify, if I have a business and I have an employee, and that employee is a member of one of these blacklisted organizations, and I don't know it, but because I'm associating with this employee, I get arrested?
Well, yes.
Wow.
Generally, a lot of these specifically some of these organizations will have a very particular look to an individual. You know that say an example would be an Antifa member wears all black and a balaclava and a mask, and you see them, you know they're Antifa. Some of these groups, they'll have similar things, but to a different style, and they all sort of tend to look a certain way, have a certain body shape, and let's say they maybe all use the same type of vehicle. So you might get an idea when they rock up that they probably are a member of a blacklisted organization. So I'm guessing what would happen, you'd probably have the cops turn up and say, hey, you know this person is a member of a blacklisted organization, you could get in a lot of trouble. So you have to fire them.
So this person has to be overtly acting and doing things a certain way.
Well, they don't have to be. It's that most of them are. A lot of some of the groups, I should be clarifying that in some of the groups, some of them are, and that the idea is that these laws make those people's lives more difficult, and by by the police officer approaching an employer saying, hey, did you know this person was a member of a blacklisted organization? You know how much trouble you could get in for hiring them? Then that person is likely to get fired. Right. So that makes it hard for them to find a job. So they can't be associated with this organization in any way if they want to work.
Now, if you find out someone is a member of these organizations, and you're a business owner and they're your employee, and it's like, okay, I gotta fire you, and then here comes the cops and say, you should have turned them in. Could you get in trouble with that?
The chances are the cops already know who are members of these organizations and stuff like that. So they're not too worried about you needing to turn them in and stuff like that.
Okay,
it's more that they know they're
but if someone warns you and you continue to keep them on the payroll, then you get in trouble. But if someone warns you and then you just all right, you're fired, I wish I could help you, but bye-bye, then you don't get in trouble if you're warned and you comply with the warning, right?
It's when it comes to laws in Australia, a lot of it is a very grey area. In that what we do is we tend to bring in laws, and then when that law is not working or not a good idea, instead of rescinding that law and putting in a better law that makes sense, we just add another one on top. So there's this constant piling on of contradictory laws, and a lot of the time it comes down to, if you're in a once you go to court, it is to the judge's discretion. So yeah, there's a lot of sort of leeway in it, and there's a lot of the time we have fucking weird ass laws the roadside pickup, where everybody takes their household junk like old chairs and old TVs and put it on the side of the road, and the council comes and picks it up and ditches it. It's legally speaking, that stuff is the property of the person who puts it on the side of the verge. As soon as they put it on the side of the verge, it becomes council property. So somebody comes along and sees it on the side of the road and goes, oh, an old TV. I'm going to go chuck that in my car, take it home and plug it in, see if it works. And if not, I'll just take it to the tip myself or something. You get caught doing that, you have just stolen from the local council. That is legally considered that you've done that. There have been police officers that have found old blokes going through the stuff, getting little knickknacks and whatever else they can sell and filling up the little bag as they go. Catch an old guy doing that, and then charged him, chuck him in the slammer, off to court and all the rest. And then it gets to court, and the judge goes, "Are you guys absolutely nuts? This is stupid. This is a waste of time." And then just let him go.
Oh wow, man! I bet you the lawyers clean up. I mean, I bet you they make a lot of money there.
Oh yeah, that's part of it is making the laws contradictory and poorly worded gives the lawyers sort of more to do. It makes it sort of a harder, more of a niche club to get into.
So I'm going to ask you this. Do most of your local officials, are most of them former lawyers themselves? Most of your governmental officials, are most of them lawyers themselves or were lawyers themselves?
I've got a feeling there is quite a percentage of ex-lawyers. I'm not 100% sure on that off the top of my head. I'd have to be something to look into deeper.
Because
a lot of them are
most
just
of-
career politicians. That
Yeah, most of
started
most of our career politicians here in the United States started out as lawyers.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but then, yeah. And then I say we have technically we have a two-party system, where we have like a left and a right basically, but then we sort of have like our left and our right are sort of like you're right and you're really 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 right. So you're left, you're left and you're really 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 left. So like because it's all the politicians. There's two people who run all the media, and the media runs all the political parties. So you basically, our entire country is run by two people, who own media conglomerates, who got in trouble for owning all the media conglomerates, so they split them up amongst all their other companies they owned. There's like one dude who was in charge of everything and had owned all the newspapers, all the news outlets, all the TV channels, and he got in trouble. They had a monopoly, so he's going to break it up, sold some of the stuff to his mate, and sold the rest to his other companies. So he still owns everything, and his mate owns the rest.
Wow.